try to build a culture of positivity around innovation. And you know, I mean, obviously it's a labor of love and patience.
Yeah.
But I mean, is there any particular approaches that you can take to really kind of get people on board, bring people into the fold in their own time and on their own terms? But I mean, how do you do it?
Can I be really honest here? I do it through the students.
Right.
So this future classroom is so exciting. The students want to be part of it. And I keep getting told off by teachers because the students will go into their class. Like I was just chatting to a drama teacher the other day, and she said, like, every lesson they say, "Are we going to the future classroom today?" To the teacher. And she, in the end, she caved, and I think she took him in there because she'd done the training. But essentially, I think you just have to show them the impact of how powerful these things are. And the most powerful way in education to show any adult that is through the eyes of the child and the voice of the child. So we do a lot of student voice. We do a lot of feedback. We ask them a lot of questions about things and how they finding things, what would they like. And via our social media platforms, we run competitions. So they pick the chairs, they pick the lights, they pick the bag storage area. So we built a story, we built a narrative, and the students bought into that and the staff bought into that, but not all of them. So in my school, we've got 60 staff. We've got 40 that have done the training to use the future classroom and 20 that haven't. And they don't want at the moment to come into the future classroom, and they don't want to buy into that. They're quite happy as things are. It'd be really interesting to see post-COVID whether that changes, whether they revalue technology as something that's not threatening and invasive and a disruption to their day-to-day routine. Because I think if you think of teachers, we're a hugely intellectual profession, aren't we? We've all got degrees. Some of us have got 2 or 3. And we're quite habitual. We tend to sit in our classrooms and get through the day because it's tough because we've got content that we've got to deliver. So disrupting that model is very, very difficult. And I think in answer to your question, in simple forms, let the students, the same as the Ofsted inspectors, let the students tell them how they feel and what they love. And they will as well. They're so honest. Kids don't lie. They say it as it is at face value, and they will do that. And then let that be the convincing aspect. And if it doesn't convince them, it's not the end of the world. Because for me, as long as we're trying things and we're having a go at these new technologies, that's what motivates me as an educator, and that's what's really exciting about the sort of position I find myself in.
Yeah.
Alex, and what about the buy-in from parents? How does that work? Because many of them, and we've had this conversation with Mark before, some of them would say, oh, I would have loved to have this education myself, or others would be extremely reluctant. So what do you see from your end on that perspective?
Social media is our easiest way to communicate with parents about the things we're doing in the future classroom. And for the last 18 months, we've had nothing but positive feedback coming back. My student loved it. Oh, how can my kid get in there? How can they do this? One of the things we're going to do with WISE, which is really groundbreaking, is for the first time, I'm going to invite students and parents in to do the mental health app together.
Wow.
So they will be there together. It's going to be a very select research group, and I'm going to use it as part of my doctoral research. And what we're going to do, I believe, is kind of in the pipeline, but when school resumes and normality resumes and we can have people back in the building, the plan is to have a 9-week program where the students and parents do it together. The parents do the adult version and the students do the teenage version, if you like. And they run parallel and they reflect together and they learn together. And for me, I see that as a really powerful journey that has the potential to make some really substantial change. And this is the sort of technology that I think post-COVID will disrupt classrooms in a really good way, I hope. And I hope there's more like this that come to fruition.
I really like that because you're involving the community. I mean, it's not only happening at school, you're actually extending it to the parents, and they might be the number one adopters after this test, right? Kids would love it because it's natural for them, but for the parents, I believe it would be mind blowing. Hopefully, yeah. I'm not wrong.
Also, if they're understanding the issues that are causing conflict at home, perhaps with their children, because teenagers are volatile, as we know, with hormones, then it's training them in the responses and the ways to deal with it too. So it's quite what's the word I'm looking for? It's quite a delicate program. It needs to be managed properly. So we're just going to use small numbers of maybe 10 students and 10 parents, and they have to be willing to sign up, and all the ethics will be signed off. But essentially, I see warm technology as a way to really make an impact in this sort of field.
I'm wondering if, because it's almost like, I mean, we know that parents, you don't go to some kind of school to learn how to be a parent. And, we know that in things like mental health and some of the discussions we're having at school, um, they're not having that at home. And therefore, and it's a shame because that learning or that, that progress becomes more episodic, and then they go home and it's a different reality and it's hard to reconcile that. But it's also kind of different, trying to communicate to parents that actually coming in, this is not just some sort of tokenistic thing where you come in and just be present in an activity, to be part of the school or to do something for your kid, but it's actually going to benefit you at home. It's delicate territory, but I'm wondering, and I'm quite optimistic. I wonder if you are too, that you've got a bit more currency now with parents because of the empathy they surely now have for what teachers have gone through for
Yeah.
years. Everyone knows teachers are a difficult job, but they
Yeah.
really know it now that they've had to homeschool their
Twice
kids.
as well, 2 lockdowns as well, possibly
Yeah.
3. You're absolutely right. And I think that empathy has, I mean, I'm talking from the demographic of where I work, we've got very supportive parents who are really grateful for how supportive they are of the school and the work that we do for their young people. But I think you're right. I think that's another thing that COVID has potentially changed. And I think parents potentially are more interested now in what their kids are learning at school. I mean, I've had quite a few parents mention that when I've been teaching via Teams, so the child is at home, and all of a sudden, me as a teacher is in their home. And quite a few parents have been listening, and they found that quite interesting. They've been learning about stuff that they didn't know about, so they're learning too, and they think it's quite funny that they can actually sit in the lessons now, and a lot of them do, and a lot of them sit in the background and listen to what you're saying. So when you're teaching a class of 30 students and they're all at home in their different environments, you've got to be thinking to yourself, maybe I'm teaching to 30 parents and 30 students. So it is, I think COVID has definitely changed that perspective, like you say.
Well, it's a good opportunity now, isn't it, to keep those the barriers between school and community, out of the way and just capitalize, build on that shared understanding.
Definitely.
Good moment to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's so many negatives associated with coronavirus. It's difficult to look past them, but I actually firmly believe that, I mentioned the classroom after the storm. I think it will look different, and storms aren't always a bad thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
they can disrupt, and they can when the dust settles, they can come back as more impressive than what they were initially.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also you can be part of the healing process as well. I mean, school is for some young people, it's the only safe place, and for some it's kind of the reverse, but um, certainly being there and being part of that with the parents, it's the only way really, I think, to get um, a holistic kind of level of support for young people that have gone through this, that are still processing the impact of it and will be for a long time. I mean,
You're right. I think that one of our biggest jobs as educators and as parents is just to rebuild the fractured courage of the students post-COVID, because they're going to lose faith in exams, in normality as school presents for them, as you said. So I think that rebuilding that courage is a huge part of what we've got to work on in the next year or so to get students' confidence back.
Absolutely. And even more as well in countries that maybe don't have as much access to education. I think that's a big, big, big challenge, because we're talking about great initiatives that can benefit people or schools who can actually afford it. But taking these initiatives to a wider range of students, that's going to be the real challenge. And I hope that some governments actually in this case hop on that wave, on that progressive way that we were talking about before.
Definitely. Yeah.
Great. Alex, for me, it's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. Once again, very, very optimistic thoughts, and with also very real life examples. So I really, really, really enjoy it. So thank you so much for your time today. And Mark, I don't know if you have anything else to add from my
not
end,
at
but
all. No, it's been inspiring as always. Not I'm not overstating things at all when I say you guys are true heroes. For what you do every day, really are. So it's been great. Just it's really nice to just talk to people all the time who are. Everyone's in education for the right reasons, but there are people who have kind of slowed down a little bit in our, you know, just kind of treading water and stuff, and people need to be carrying the torch forward. And it's great to meet people like yourself who are doing that, and just, you know, I've come out of here with another 15 ideas, and that's how it goes, right? That's what we want. I mean,
That's what it's all
so,
about. And
so
what I
thank
love,
you for that.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I found lockdown, because I'm teaching some days in schools, some at home, and the days that I'm at home, I'm connecting with people all over the world. Like we got Scotland, England, and Colombia just in this chat. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's so good for your sort of your well-being, for yourself as a teacher, just to like connect with like-minded people. So thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah,
Thank you
not at
so
all.
much, Alex. Anytime. Happy to have you again any other time.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, thanks guys, and have a good day or evening wherever you are.